I'm going to call the September 18, 2018 Board of Supervisors meeting to order. Supervisor Royce, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Thank you. Please join me in saluting the flag to our country. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oral communication. The public may speak on any item that is not on the printed agenda. Now, this is non-agenda items.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, and good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Supervisors. My name is Diane Bennett, and one of my hats is Executive Coordinator for the Highway 108 Fire Safe Council. And I just wanted to let you and the public know that we have just launched a brand new website. It's about 2 weeks old, with information on community wildfire safety, preparedness, and prevention. We have information about the council, but also you will find information on a range of topics, including defensible space, home fire safety, evacuations for humans and pets, safeguarding important documents, and safeguarding your financial information in times of an emergency. There's also a section on non-fire hazards, such as preparing for extreme heat, preparing for a power outage, and preparing for winter storms. We have also links to the county's OES system, and we have a link to the Emergency Citizen Alert System, and are encouraging people to sign up for that. The address is www.tuolumnefiresafe.org. That's www.tuolumnefiresafe.org. And we would just invite you to take a look through it, and I hope you find information that's beneficial to you and the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Be 2 minutes on public comment today. Thank you.
Just a quick question first. So if we're going to speak about lowering the budget cuts to ATCA, is that, or to the Arts Alliance?
Those are budget agenda items.
And so we'll wait to speak about those?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name's Dick Southern. I'm Vietnam Veterans of America Chapter 391 Secretary for the last 20 years. I want to wish the Air Force a happy birthday today. And announce it on Friday, September 21st. Chapter 391 will be in 7 locations in Tuolumne County and 1 location in Calaveras County, passing out POW-MIA clovers in recognition of POW-MIA Day. There are still 164 soldiers missing in Vietnam from California. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jim Hildreth, and I wanted to thank the supervisors on something that you've been supporting for the last 2 years, and in particular, John Gray's district. It's YARTS, and the bus system to Yosemite National Park. I wanted to go ahead and personally mention to you that I've taken it 4 times this year. I've taken it from downtown Sonora. The bus starts off at Black Oak Casino and then to the Best Western downtown. And sometimes I've been the only rider until I get to Groveland, and then suddenly people just pour on from the campsites, which has been very popular. I've taken my bike on board and have spent the day over in Yosemite. So that's something that's very, very positive for our community. I was there at the beginning of the fires. I went over soon as the park just started over, and again, we were the only riders, and it showed me and displayed to me the impacts of fires within our community and the impacts to our economy. Very, very serious. Nobody were in the campgrounds. It was devastating. Second thing that I wanted to mention to you is that another public transportation mode that I think is overlooked and a lot of people are not aware of is Amtrak out of Modesto. The San Joaquin line goes to Oakland from Modesto all the way to Oakland. Another thing where you could put your bike on board, reasonable. I think I usually go down for $18, $31 round trip. I get the senior rate these days. But anyway, again, modes of transportation. So YARTS will run until September 30th. It's now only at 8:15 from downtown Sonora. So if you get the opportunity, it's something that is a real true treasure. And I thank you, Board, for supporting that.
Thank you.
Rob Koslevy, County Environmental Health. Each year, EPA holds a Septic Smart Week with outreach activities to encourage homeowners and communities to care for and maintain their septic systems. During Septic Smart Week, which starts yesterday, EPA seeks to inform homeowners on proper septic systems, care and maintenance, assist local agencies in promoting educational and awareness, educate local decision makers about infrastructure options to improve and sustain their communities. I have some handouts in the back that has a website and links to those various documents. But I also want to take this time to remind the residents of Tuolumne County about a similar program that Environmental Health started in 2013. It's called the Residential On-Site Septic System, or ROS. The ROS program can be found on the Environmental Health page of the county website. The goal for Tuolumne County was to create an educational public outreach program for homeowners about the proper operation, maintenance, and operations for alternative septic systems as well as standard. And the first part of the series of this class that I teach is called So I Have a Septic System. The purpose of the class is to, once again, to educate the basics of how a septic system works. This includes biology of a septic system. Another key component is the do's and don'ts of septic system operation. Part 2 is the operation, maintenance, and monitoring. And we give out a color checklist on how to properly operate your septic system and what to look for. So it's been a fairly successful program. Our utility districts have mentioned that whenever we do a public outreach, we see an increase in pumping activity from their waste records, and we also see an increase in activity at the permit counter. We are scheduled to have another raw section on December 4th of this year, and I'll keep you guys abreast of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Deb Eskew. I'm your VSO, Veteran Service Officer, and I have 2 announcemements. We're going to have an open house for all veterans, and if the supervisors would like to come out between 12 and 2 on October 11th, that's a Thursday, and we're going to have hot dogs, soda, chips, so coming out and have our lunch and meet some of your veterans. And then we're also going to participate in the AMCAN Stand Down, which is October 16th and 17th. It's in conjunction with the health fair from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. for our homeless vets. Do you have any questions? No? Okay, we hopefully will see you on the 11th.
Just for the public, do you want to repeat both those dates and locations?
Yes. October 11th will be at the Veteran Service office, and that's on Hospital Road. That's our main office. And then the 16th and 17th is going to be at the fairgrounds with the health fair, in conjunction with the health fair.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Hi, my name's Denny Avery. I'm from ATCA Food Bank, and I just have an announcement. The food bank is going to host its first ever Empty Bowls fundraising event to benefit the food bank on September 29th. It's a community organized event, so you'll get to come out and enjoy a simple meal prepared by Embers and Pinocchios and Morelias and Sonora High's culinary class, Alicia's Sugar Shack. We have entertainment by Somerville High's Jazz at 8 is going to be there, and also Keith Evans. He's a local guitarist and instructor. So a couple of you have gotten your tickets, and I was just wanting to let you guys know about it, and hopefully we'll see you out there. You're going to be hearing from us in the next couple of months for the next round of CDBG funding. So it'd be great for you guys to come out and see what we do down there at the warehouse.
Where do we get tickets?
There is at atca.org. You can find the tickets online, or you can call the food bank, and I have tickets, and I'll be happy to bring them to you.
And the phone number for the food bank?
It's 984-3960, extension 104.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you haven't been to the food bank, you got to go. It's very interesting.
Hi, my name is BZ Smith. I'm in John Gray's district, and I wanted to just come and keep you abreast of a wonderful organization that's very tiny that very few people know about, and that is the Motherlode Storytelling Guild. We service Tuolumne and Calaveras County. We have a really fun weekend coming up with 2 exciting storytelling concerts. One is a Friday night story slam, which is like rocking it to the world with storytelling. That's primarily geared towards adults, and that will be on Friday, October 19th. That event's taking place in Calaveras County at the old schoolhouse in Murphy's, and it is fun. The top winner of that contest will get a $100 prize, and it's going to be a blast. Then the very next day, also in Calaveras County, we are having a children's concert with 4 performers who are from Tuolumne County, and that includes myself, Peggy Riza, Cynthia Restivo, and young Dominic Restivo, who will be telling stories and doing music for family audiences. These are both free events being held in Murphy's, but I do want to be sure that you know that on December 8th, the Motherlode Storytelling Guild will be doing a children's concert here in Tuolumne County. This will be about our 10th year to do Santa's Gone Hawaiian. This year it'll be at the Aronis Club on December 8th at 11 o'clock in the morning, and it is so much fun. The 2 events in Murphy's are free, and the event that'll take place in Tuolumne County is a very small donation at the door. And then in March, we will have another fun event for adults here in Tuolumne County called For Adult Ears Only. We exist, I'm going to tell you this, courtesy of being an art partner with Tuolumne County Arts Alliance, which allows us to seek nonprofit donations, tax-deductible donations from businesses and community organizations. So there you have it, and here's an invitation for your family.
Thank you.
I'm Lori Sylvester, and I have a concern about the tree removal on PG&E. PG&E had a newspaper invitation to their open house Wednesday, September the 5th. I didn't see any county people there. Actually, there weren't very many people there. I don't know how well known that was. But in that get-together, they did have different brochures and information about working together with our customers on the upcoming tree removal. They state that they would meet with property owners and share results and partner, and that an arborist would come out and contact people. But apparently the arborists, or ARCT, didn't get the same memo because they've been extensively demarcating trees. Of course, number one, we're all for fire safety. But number 2, when PG&E makes, a promise to the people that they'll work with them regarding their private property, it needs to be kept. So number 3, we need to have a meeting in the District 3, I'm asking, area or any area that's impacted by these tree removals and shrub removals. One person said 60 feet away from the lines, they had old trees marked, 100-year-old cedar trees marked, and people are really upset and really troubled. Today, from 8 a.m. until 5, there are PG&E people at Epperson Park. Of course, the local people don't know about that, and I forgot not to announce that. So they are there at Epperson Park so people can come and talk to them, except for people don't know. We need District 3 representation. Evan, please talk to PG&E and get a meeting in our area so people can have their questions answered now that they're aware of the massive impact of these tree and shrub removals. It's really, really troubling people, and people that are out of town are very concerned. Everything's been marked, and they don't even have a way of knowing what's been marked. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good morning. We need to give a shout out to our Sheriff's Department and Lieutenant Earhart and his team. Because once again, we had a standoff that was totally successful and no one lost their life. And then we still have suicide crisis in this county. We had another suicide in the past 3 weeks, and we had an attempted suicide by a 13-year-old. So suicide remains a crisis in our county, and I want to thank you, Supervisor Hanvelt, for having a 20-minute conversation at the ATCA board about suicide. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Seeing no one, bring it back. Will the clerk please read the consent calendar?
Minutes of the meeting held September 4th, 2018. Approving correspondence to the governor in support of SB 212, a comprehensive produced-funded take-back program to provide safe and convenient disposal options for home-generated pharmaceutical drugs and sharp waste. Award a contract to Paving Construction Services, Inc. to perform work in accordance with the Evergreen Road pavement repairs. Awarding a contract to George Reed to perform the work in accordance with the storm damage pavement repairs. Approving an agreement between the Tuolumne County Department of Social Services and Motherlode Job Training for work placement activities services for CalWorks recipients. Adopting a resolution accepting the allocation of funding for the Department of Health Care Services, implementing additional homeless mentally ill outreach and treatment programs for Behavioral Health Department, and approving a letter of interest. Approving correspondence delegating signature authority to Michelle McMaster to sign veterans-related documents. Approving an amendment of conflict of interest codes for Recreation and County Clerk and Auditor Controller. Approving correspondence to the Sierra Nevada Conservancy regarding their draft 2018 through 2024 strategic plan. Approving correspondence regarding the draft United States Forest Service Region 5 border scale monitoring strategy.
Any board member wish to pull a consent calendar item?
Yes, Chairman Gray, I'd like to pull item 10, please.
Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none. Any public comment on the consent calendar? Seeing none. Motion on the consent calendar 1 through 9.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Rotifer, second by Supervisor Royce. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Clerk, please read item 10.
This is consideration of approving correspondence regarding the draft United States Forest Service Region 5 border scale monitoring strategy.
Supervisor Brennan.
Thank you. Last Tuesday, we heard this item at the Natural Resource Committee meeting, and the committee was unanimous in their support for sending a letter from the Board of Supervisors and tasked Ms. Peterson, myself, and Supervisor Hanfeld to work on it. After reading this all weekend, it became obvious that the content of this needed to be analyzed in a more thorough way. We definitely do need to comment because monitoring is one of the areas that typically the agency finds themselves challenged in litigation. And this is our first opportunity to comment on this new monitoring strategy, but it's important that we do monitor so that we are in the system and in the process. I would ask that this board allow Supervisor Hanfeld and myself to work with Ms. Peterson to draft comments, just really asking for some clarity on a number of the issues. Unfortunately, the comment deadline is September 25th. And so
23rd.
23rd? All right, thank you. But again, let us develop comments that can be signed by Chairman Gray and sent into the U.S. Forest Service.
Okay, feelings of the board? Okay. What if I don't like the comments and I won't sign the letter?
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, so I'm sure you guys will come up with something good. No action on that at this time.
Well, no, I'd like an action that we draft comments and send them in by.
Okay, is that your motion?
That is my motion.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Brennan, second by Supervisor Rotifer. Any public comment? Public comment? Any public comment? For the vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Passes 5-0. Thank you. All right, we're going to have our
11.
Oh, yes, that's right. We've got others, don't we? We're going to do the proclamations before we do our 9 o'clock appointment. So, clerk, please read.
11 is consideration of adopting a resolution proclaiming September 21st, 2018 as National POW MIA Recognition Day.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think I've got this one. In addition to Memorial Day, which honors our war dead, and Veterans Day, which honors our veterans. I think it's also important to specifically remember our POWs and MIAs, and actually every day ought to be POW and MIA Day. But September 21st has been established as National POW MIA Day, Recognition Day, and I think it's absolutely appropriate, and I'm asking the board to declare September 21st, 2018 as POW MIA Day in Tuolumne County and approve the resolution that is attached. And that's my motion.
Okay. Any public comment? Any more board comment? Okay, bring it back. We had a motion by Supervisor Rhoda first, second by Supervisor Royce. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Thank you. Clerk, please read item 12.
Sorry. 12 is consideration of adopting a resolution proclaiming September 25th, 2018 as National Voter Registration Day.
It's Batista.
I will try to be as fast as Supervisor Rutherford. September 25th is National Registration Day. One can notice throughout the county that there are groups of citizens trying to register people to vote. We think that this is very important, as I've said numerous times at the board, that your vote does count. This election that's going to happen in November has 8 different boards that people will get to choose who those members of those boards are, plus 2 supervisors, plus 2 different measures, whether you live inside the city limits or you live inside or you live in the county unincorporated area. So one's vote really matters. Also, 16 and 17-year-olds can re-register to vote, if that's a word, so that they could start sending in their documentation, and we can have them on the rolls. They don't count, but they will be ready to go when they turn 18. So what I'm asking you to do is declare September 25th as National Registration Day, and hopefully all the citizens of Tuolumne who are eligible to vote and are not registered will start registering. If you look at TCTC, we have signs on TCTC. We're going to put up some banners. We're really pushing registration for this election coming up.
Right. Thank you. Any questions for the board? Public comment?
Hi, I'm Marianne Schmidt, and for the last 2 years I've been working with the national group of National Voter Registration Day. So last year we had an event and registered several, about 100 people. And then this year we are working with about 20 citizens that will be working 8 days for 8 hours a day throughout the county at different stations trying to register people. And we've had a training to help people learn how to register people. And then we are going into the high schools to, Robbie, the assistant county clerk, will be making presentations on to the senior classes on how to register to vote and also about elections. And then we are also having a fun event called Rock the Vote at Winters Cafe this Friday night at 7 o'clock to also promote voter registration. And when the community is civically engaged, the more it can advocate for local issues. And then it is more likely officials and policymakers will pay attention. And thank you for making Tuesday, September 25th, National Voter Registration Day.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak on this item? Okay, bring it back to the board. Supervisor Hanville.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make one modification to that, and the resolution, it doesn't say, I would like to say it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Tuolumne County recognize September 25th. Right now it says Deborah Batista, and I think we ought to be doing that.
She's so...
The state wanted it to read that way. I have no problem that it's you all.
Well, there's no point in us voting on it if we're voting to have you recognize it.
I'll fix it.
Okay. She'll fix it. Looking for a motion?
Mr. Chairman, Before a motion, I'll let somebody else make the motion, but I just want to make a comment. 6 years ago, I was running for office, and I didn't lose, but I had to run in the runoff by 2 votes. And my next door neighbors who would have voted for me didn't vote. And they felt really badly about it. If you don't think your vote counts, you're wrong, especially at the local level. It's really important that you vote, and that starts with registering. And so I highly encourage everybody that is eligible to register to vote, and don't stop there. Actually vote, okay? It's really important. This nation doesn't ask very much of us, but one of our responsibilities is to vote as citizens. Thank you.
Okay, so now I'm looking for a motion.
So, Chairman Gray, I absolutely concur with Supervisor Rotifer's comments, and with that in mind, I move adoption of September 25th, 2018 as National Voter Registration Day.
With the changes as proposed.
With the changes proposed.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Supervisor Brennan, second by Supervisor Hanvelt. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Clerk, please read item 13.
This is consideration of adopting resolution proclaiming September 28, 2018 as Native American Day.
Morning, Daniel Richardson from the County Administrator's Office. It's important that we understand our heritage, and today is an opportunity for us to honor that. In 1968, our Governor Ronald Reagan signed a resolution calling for the 4th Friday of each September to be what's called American Indian Day. Later on in 1998, the California legislature passed a bill establishing California Native American Day as an official day of education. Today, we would like to, or request you that the board adopt a resolution that proclaims this day. Just a note that California has over 100 recognized tribes in California, more than any other state in the nation.
Thank you. Any questions? Public comment?
Here's my public comment. Omataru. I am an elder of Wyandotte Nation of Oklahoma, and in my tribe we do documented lineage rather than blood quantum. Most of the California tribes are blood quantum, partly because the influx of Western influence of, well, not Western, of Yankee influence was way later. So many of the tribes here in California, the many that he mentioned, have been able to maintain a closer proximity to their blood quantum is what I'm going to call it. But in my tribe, the lineage goes back even farther. My family's ancestors have been on this continent over 10,000 years. Our original home was in Wendake, which is a peninsula in Canada, near Toronto and Quebec. And but I'm really honored that my ancestors had the foresight to continue to document that lineage for thousands, for a long time. And thank you to the wisdom of my grandfather. He made sure that every single one of his grandchildren were brought into the tribe when we were babies. I have an Indian name. It is Mendek. My Indian name is Mendekti, which means her voice goes far and then comes back to her. And I have to tell you how deeply this roots in the core of who I am as a person. I've been to powwow. I have artifacts in my family home that are hundreds of years old that were carried forward by my ancestors. So I just want you to know that the face of the Indian is not always black-haired and dark-skinned. The face of the Indian is not always round-faced, sometimes round-body. Here I am. But I want you to know that while I am deeply honored that you are considering this document, whatever it's called, because today my brain is someplace else, to honor Native Americans in our county and in the United States on this one day. I want you to remember when you see me and other people that look like me walking down the street that deep at the core of my blood, my ancestors are talking to you, and I want you to remember to honor us every single day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I have to say it this way. Tishime, which is thank you in my native language, that I don't know. And I'll end with Kwe, which I should have said at the beginning because it means hello. So Omataru is how are ya, and then Tishime is thank you in Wyandotte. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any more public comment? Looking for a motion?
Mr. Chairman, an honor to make the motion in favor of this resolution. I just want to make a comment about the relationship we have with our Native American tribes here in Tuolumne County is exceptional. It's recognized around the state because it isn't always that way. And I want to thank our tribes for their participation and their the cooperative nature and how they are really great citizens in our community. So I move in favor.
Motion by Supervisor Ranvelt.
Second.
Well, I've heard of a second.
Second.
Yeah.
All right.
I just like to echo that, what Supervisor Hanveld said, not to extend this meeting unnecessarily, but it is a very special relationship that we have with both of our tribes. And I think it's very important that they understand how much I personally, and I think this entire board and our entire county appreciates everything that they do for us, from health care to recreation to event venues, any number of things. And it's just an awesome relationship, and I appreciate it.
Okay.
Can I say a quick thing?
Sure.
I'll keep it short. My wife's Native, and so I get a little bit of an insight into the culture of Native Americans, and I love it. I absolutely. There's something very, very special that you can't put your finger on about the heritage of Native Americans and indigenous people in this continent, especially, have a history of tragedy, and where they're at now. I'm proud of where a lot of the tribes are going, and but there's a lot to learn from them. So.
Okay, a motion by Supervisor Hanveld. I lost a second. Supervisor Brennan. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to, clerk, please read our 9 o'clock appointment.
It's a public hearing to consider the fiscal year 2018-19 budget with personnel recommendations, information technology, and capital project lists, the appropriation limit computation method and resulting limit, and adopting the resolution.
Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing, and we'll have staff presentation.
Okay, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, before turning this over to Tracy to lead us through this, this budget and then the changes from the proposed budget, I do want to, acknowledge the hard work of all of the departments in putting this document together. My office, and I really do sincerely want to thank Debbie and her office, but Debbie in particular has worked on several of these budgets with me over the years, and just really appreciate her efforts.
This is our last.
I know it is. Been doing this a long time. So anyway, but like the other 34 budgets, the budget before you is balanced, and it provides many important services to your residents, as well as some extraordinarily important public works projects. So with that, and appropriately so, I want to turn this thing over to Tracy, who will walk us through this budget, and thanking her for her diligence as well.
Okay, good morning. Tracy Riggs, County Administrator's Office. And as Craig said, I too want to thank Debbie. She has been a great help and another set of eyes, and we always need that when we're working with all the numbers. So I'm going to go through the memo and do some high level. I won't go through all the detail with you, but just pointing out some of the detail, and then, of course, we can answer any questions that you may have as we move through it. So, as you know, in June, your board approved the recommended budget, and that's what gives us the authority to begin expending in the new fiscal year starting July 1st. With the adopted budget, we start every year when we go to the board retreat, and your board starts setting those priorities for staff on where we're going to go in the coming year. We also, this year, developed and use of a multi-year forecast and funding plan. We did it a bit different this year, and it did take less time on the side of the departments for not doing all of the spreadsheets and the way we used to do the multi-year budget. And pretty soon we will have a new budget software that will make life a whole lot easier, but that's still to come. We also confirmed that we come to the board and confirmed that what we're working on with you and the recommended is what you want, and we're following the direction as you had expected that we would. And then, of course, we also do presentations and discussions with the Finance Committee throughout that period as well. So as we work through this, on the very first page, there is a comparison between the adopted 17-18 budget, so what your board adopted last September, and the recommended in June. And you will see it's a large increase between the recommended last year and the adopted, and the majority of that $28 million, is related to our capital and infrastructure for the new jail. Then we have a recap of the personnel changes your board approved and the recommended budget. There was a net decrease of 2.3 FTEs. And then we get into preparation of the adopted budget. So some of the first things that we do is we go through and we begin recognizing the changes between the projected and actual fund balances. We recognize any changes in county revenues, and we'll discuss that more coming up. And of course, with the end of the year, we're able to really start fine-tuning, analyzing and fine-tuning the department's projections, as when they first draft that budget that you approve in June, most times we've started that in March or April, and we don't have final numbers yet. So when we get into the adopted budget, we actually have the time to really get in there and look at how the year ended for all of the cost centers. And then we have the consideration of the state and federal budget and the impact that has on all of the revenues and expenses for that matter. And then this year we looked at rebudgeting the construction of the jail and what's left over from the law and justice infrastructure. What we have this year is the fund balances, and we go through this every year. Debbie takes the time and she reconciles all of the cost centers, and she gives us what the actual fund balance is, and the recommended, we only have the projected. So I'll just go through this fairly quickly, but the general funds fund balance was $849,000 higher than we originally projected. The Human Services fund balance altogether, they had significantly higher fund balances, and you will see the majority of their fund balance, when that happens, ends up going into contingencies for them. And then road construction also came in a tad higher, and I'll get into more detail on that, but we will return to your board later in the year with a fine-tuned analysis of the road construction fund, and also we'll give you an update on all the projects and for storm damages for 17 and for 18. And then the ambulance enterprise fund had a higher year-end fund balance of $408,000. So as you know, with the Ferguson fire and the Donnell fire, we had Highway 120 that was impacted and the Yosemite National Park, and then we had the Donnell fire, which closed 108 for a period of time and impacted all of the businesses along that corridor as well. It's been unprecedented to have both of those main highways in our county closed for a period of time and affecting our businesses. As a result, when the revenue team came together, we felt it best to reduce sales tax and TOT, the transient occupancy tax, based on the closure of those two highways and the impact on our local businesses. The combination of those two reductions is $660,000, that estimate. And again, the revenue team will meet again, and we will continue to fine-tune that and bring you updates as we move through the year. Then we have, there was a small amount of $44,000. You may remember we've talked about in the past. There are some revenues from vehicle license fees that come as a pass-through. They come into the general fund and they go back out to human services. So while there's an increase in general revenues, there's also an increase in the transfers out because it comes in and it goes right back out to the appropriate cost center. When we look at the state and federal budget actions, the primary one that we're really looking at is SB1. We know that's on the ballot in November. If it were repealed, it will cause great harm to our road fund, and should that happen, we will return to your board with just further information and ways that we will have what we would have to do to balance that budget. And again, I'm just going to hit real quick, but the in-home supportive services, Ann Connolly and her staff are staying actively engaged on that issue, and we know that when we look at any potential impacts, we're looking at fiscal year 1920. Okay, law and justice and the new jail. In working with Debbie, we had decided, not knowing exactly the construction timeline, we have rebudgeted the entire amount that was left over after 17-18 into 18-19. What that means, there could be anywhere from 3 to 6 months of the jail project that might go into 1920, but it gives us full flexibility as they're needed. If they're able to get more work done, then they can go through and they can get that work done. So on page 4, that we start going through just what are the major changes from the recommended budget. And I'm not going to do all of these, but I will do some of them just to highlight them. The County Administrative Office changes have been made in that cost center based on the transition of the county administrator position as appointed on August 21st. So the biggest one of those is moving the OES coordinator back into the Office of Emergency Services and out of the county administrator's budget. And there's grant funds that support that. That's good, but those have been pulled out of our cost center as a result of that transition. We also, as you are aware, the Master Stewardship Agreement, we had staff who worked with a group of others, and they were awarded $5 million. Part of that has been budgeted, approximately $2.5 million has been placed into a new cost center. And that is, again, whatever is not used in 18-19 will roll forward into other years, future years. Donnell Fire is a new cost center as well. Been working with Deb. Deb has been doing all the reconciliations through payroll for the departments who were impacted, so that she's been moving all of that time into this cost center so we can better identify what the true impact of that is. Right now, it has a budget of $58,000. We're still looking at what that real impact will be, and it may take a little bit longer to get all of those costs in. Talked about the general revenues, the reduction of $660,000 between TOT and sales tax. And another new cost center is the Hazardous Fuel Reduction Grant. That is the grant that was written by county OES staff, and we were awarded $1.7 million, and we have $550,000 that's been placed into it for this fiscal year. And we expect that the grant documentation will be finalized in December, January, and hoping that work will begin in the spring. Information technology, hitting on this one, the $521,000 is a rebudget for the new ERP software. And again, we placed all that was left back into 18-19. If there's anything left over, it would roll into 19-20 as we finalize that project. And then transfers out, your board had already approved the $243,000 to airport construction. That has been adjusted, and it is then the adopted budget. Some of our other governmental funds, we have the road fund, which had a much higher ending fund balance than was originally projected. Most of that was put into contingencies, and we'll be reconciling that and working with the staff over there to come back with another analysis on that fund as well.
Tracy?
Mm-hmm.
Is that fund balance in roads a result of work that we were not able to do that we had previously done? I'm pretty sure it's not a cost savings on work that was done.
Correct. A lot of it is a rollover from previous years. We just need to identify and work and fine-tune the projects.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. The road construction fund has 3 cost centers in it. It has your capital projects, has your storms, 2017, 2018. I'm sorry, there's 4 cost centers, and SB1. The 2017-18, we continue to work with FEMA and Cal OES on all of those projects. We continue as we move through the year to also fine-tune the cost and reimbursement of those projects. And in here, just a reminder about the Ferretti Road. We are still working with FHWA to secure the federal funding for that. And we still continue, obviously, to work with CDA, Cal OES for the California Disaster Assistance Act. In the event that FHWA is not approved and we end up working with CDAA, the increased cost it doubles from $200,000 to $400,000, and that's based on an estimate of $1.6 million to fix that. Staff is proceeding. They're not letting them hold them up on the work, but we continue to work in the background to secure the appropriate funding for that. In all the human services funds, because of when we do the recommended budget, They many times have not done their cost reports. They have not submitted their final cost plans to the state and federal government. So we fine-tune those cost centers, and that's why you see the significant changes, and that will happen every year as we work with those departments, and they pull down the appropriate funding once they close out the quarter. Airport construction, we talked about that one. There's a significant increase. They're doing a lot of construction and on the Columbia Airport. It's exciting what's going on out there, and your board did approve an additional match of $243,000 to complete that work. And county capital, again, the biggest changes there is the rebudgeting of any residual fundings that needs to go forward for construction of jail and the infrastructure out in that area. So below on page 6, it's just another recommended 1819. So what you approved in June as opposed to the adopted what is before you today, there's an increase of $4.4 million in the general fund. Overall, for all budgeted funds, there's an increase of almost $13 million. And a total decrease in personnel of 2.0 FTEs. The primary reason for that $12.6 million increase is all of the capital infrastructure projects and rebudgeting. So we have additional funding for airport construction. We have the new master stewardship agreement, which was $2.5 million, $500,000 for your hazardous fuel reduction program, and all of those add up, and it changes and inflates this budget to be one of the largest budgets that we've ever had. Then on page 7, you have the adopted 17-18 compared to the adopted. So last year's adopted in September compared to what is before you today. Again, overall increase is $41 million. Again, largest budget that we have seen. And again, that's because of the capital projects that we have. I'm going to take you real quick through 4 of the budget policies just to hit on what we're working on. This is a budget that it's meeting majority of your budget policies. And so the first one is balance annual operating budgets without the use of one-time revenues. And there is, on page 8 there is a table, and it takes you through the beginning fund balance of 2.7. We had one-time SB 90 reimbursement that was included in the governor's budget of $440,000. That would be nice, $440 million. Which gives us $3.1 million of one-time monies that we have allocated between contingencies, reserves, towards paying off the debt with the juvenile facility, the internal loan that we have, LoSAP for fire, the 2018 storms match. So your board allocated $717,000 towards match, Donnell Fire, $50,000, and then the one-time revenue loss that we talked about earlier of TOT and sales tax. So 2, dedicate unobligated available fund balances. So again, referring up to that chart above, this complies. All of the beginning fund balance and SB 90 mandates have been obligated towards meeting one-time costs. 3, non-earmarked general fund contingencies should be no less than 1% of the general fund. I want to go and take you through, if you look at, we have a $79 million fund balance. $79 million general fund budget. 1% of that would be $790,000, but we do have quite a bit of funding towards emergency type projects that are in there that aren't necessarily operations. If you were to pull that out, it would bring us back down to the $750,000 or $75 million for the general fund. And then number 4, establishing reserves at 5% of total operating budget for governmental funds. We have $250,000 that your board has obligated towards reserves, and in the new policy, it was to put $250,000 annually of fund balance into the reserves. And then also, we do have all of your human services, some of our roads departments, they also have contingencies. So this is not, this is reserves, but the others have contingencies as well for operations. So as we move down onto page 10, so I'm kind of skipping ahead. I won't go through the rest of those policies. The 2018-19 closely follows and reflects board direction, and we wanted to make sure that we hit on the fact that we maintain all core services, balance ongoing general fund expenses solely with ongoing revenues. There's $250,000 going to reserves. We have contingencies funded at $750,000. You also have $717,000 going towards match for the storms in 2018, and this helps to provide a sound foundation for developing future budgets. Personnel actions, there are just a few more outside of what we did at the recommended. That is to add a plans examiner, a solid waste manager, elimination of a BH worker, and elimination of a welfare fraud investigator for a net impact of 0. So you add 2 and you eliminate 2 over all, amongst all of the cost centers and funds. If you look in attachment D, tab 2, we have the IT, their information technology project list. We have capital projects, which are your attachments E, F, G, H, and I. We're now really stacking up on those. Again, general fund contingencies at $750,000. There's another recap of our one-time funding and how it's been utilized in this budget. And then on page 12, we have a few items for further consideration by your board. The first one is there was some conversation about adding in a legal assistant for county council. The cost to add that in for 6 months would be approximately $37,278. There's the Arts Alliance request for $35,000, and then ATCA's request for an increase of $26,000, bringing them to a total of $50,000. And each of these for the Arts Alliance and for ATCA are in your binder, so tab 2, attachment I. Then just very quickly, I'll go through the items that we're going to continue to watch as we move through the year. Our general revenues, I will continue to pull the team together, and we will look at those revenues and make sure we're on track. If we are short at all, we would need to come back and work with your board on how we would mitigate those reductions and impacts. They continue to work with the illegal cannabis grows and the impact that that has on staff and the costs associated with that. The measure to repeal SB 1, if that does get repealed, we will absolutely come back before your board with the impacts of what that would mean to our roads department. And then, as we've already discussed for Eddy Road, if we are not able to secure FHWA funding, it doubles our share of costs from 12.5% or approximately to 25%. So right now it's estimated to cost approximately $1.6 million. That would take us from a $200,000 share of cost to $400,000. And we'll come back with you, and your board would approve that final contract once they go out to bid. So with that being said, we're asking if you have any questions, we're happy to answer those. And I think Mr. Pedro has a few things to add.
Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize, there is integrity in this budget. You have sound fiscal policies, budget policies, and this essentially complies with those policies. And the keys to those is you're not spending more in ongoing expense than you have an ongoing revenue. I mean, that's a fundamental policy, and if you stick with that policy, don't spend more than what you have coming in. That's very basic. That will help bulletproof this and future budgets. And it's really, just want to emphasize how important that is. Also, to fully fund your contingencies and get those reserves, back up. Even with the $250,000 dollars that we have in there, it only gets us up to about $2.3 million. We should be well above that, per our policies. That provides you the adequate reserves you need for the unknown that can come up for any county. Also, behind that, it does help with the county's cash flow needs, which I know, Debbie is being impressed extraordinarily, particularly with the capital projects that we have going on right now. And it'd be really nice if we had, a built-up reserve that could help with that kind of thing. And just also want to emphasize that, a couple things that Tracy has hit on. We don't know the true impacts of those fires yet. We've given considered, best judgment estimates of those things. We could be off, but you're not going to know until a few more months into the future because people have time to submit their payments, in and have those reported back in those areas of TOT and sales tax. Hopefully, we've estimated well, but if we're off, we're going to have to make adjustments, and those are significant revenues, to the county. So there's some unknowns yet. I know the last time we talked about it, you expressed the strong desire to have a better feel for what those impacts really are. And I wish I had that for you today. We just don't know. It's going to take us a few more months to be in a position to better estimate what those impacts are. Tracy also hit on the Ferretti Road repair. We do need to move forward. You should be considering award of that project at your second meeting in October. We do need to move forward. The real question is, well, what is it going to come in? What's the bid going to actually be? We have our engineer's estimate, but what's actually going to come in by way of the bids? And then are we going to be awarding, assuming that it's CDAA funding at the 25% match, or the FHWA at the 12.5% match? And that's a 250,000-ish difference between the two. I don't think we're going to know, by the time we award in October, if we have the FHWA funding secured. If that's truly the case, then in order to award, you may very likely be asked to at least temporarily reduce your contingencies one-time, money, and increase your appropriations your appropriations for. You'd be decreasing your contingencies to come up with that additional match for one-time expense. So I just wanted to remind you of that. On airport construction, we've got the money in there. The good news is we finally got the paperwork back from the FAA. What Benny has told me is because they delayed so long, it's still good news. We're going to get a lot of money to do a lot of improvements at Columbia Airport. But what's likely going to happen is we're going to have to split that project into 2 construction seasons. They're going to do some, in this coming fall, and then some probably next spring. And while it shouldn't be a large amount, that probably is going to require some additional funding, because it's going to be remobilizing, their equipment and so forth. We're probably talking in the, few, tens of thousands, if that, as a match. But just wanted to inform your board it's likely going to have to be split into the 2 seasons. There's likely going to be some increased one-time costs, but we won't know that until we actually get those bids. We've got the bids, but work with the contractor on how they're actually going to split up that work. Anyway, those are just a few things I just wanted to emphasize. Staff has come up with some ideas if you want to consider back to your things that you wanted to talk about, potentially modifying this budget. With respect to one position in County Counsel's office, I've provided a list for you of areas where you could cut in order to add that position, but that's really the flavor of this budget. Anything you may want to add, you're going to have to make cuts, particularly specifically if it's an ongoing kind of thing. But even on one-time things, your contingencies, again, are very minimal. And I've just described to you a lot of places where you run a risk on some of these capital projects that we're going to have the money there in order to meet matching requirements and so forth. So I think those are the keys I just wanted to emphasize. But having said that, again, I think it's a sound document to build from. Just asking that the board stick with your budget policies, match those ongoing expenses so they don't exceed your ongoing revenues, and be very careful even on your one-time use of your one-time dollars, because we have very minimal contingencies, and we're in a position where we need to build, not take away from your reserves.
Okay, any questions? Go ahead.
I just want to comment on what you just said. Interpret it for our constituents a little bit. We have a quote balanced budget, but there's a lot of uncertainty and risk, and I think that's what you were going through. But I want to put it in plain, simple terms. We're not through with fire season. Liz and I were with Chief Pimlott yesterday, and he was feeling a little relaxed because he doesn't have but one daily reporting fire going on right now. But the weather changes back to a warm Indian summer, and we could be off to the races again, and that could happen here. The numbers you have in the budget are guesstimates, by albeit best knowledge available, but there's risk in those numbers and uncertainty, and there's more uncertainty going forward. I just want to say that there's never been more uncertainty in one of these budgets than the one that you've presented us today. It's a good job. I want to thank everybody for the heavy lifting in terms of putting this together, but there's a lot of risk in what we're looking at, and the downside risk clearly is an issue. And I might add, on the roads, you mentioned Ferretti Road, but we've got more roads coming down the
Highway.
the line here, Marsh's Flat and others that need to be repaired. They're not options. They need to be repaired, and they face the same risk that we have with Ferretti Road. So this is not something anybody should be comfortable with in terms of we're going to have to be watchful in everything that happens and look to potentially adjust going down the line. Thank you.
Supervisor Brennan.
Yeah, I just want to put an exclamation point, actually, on what has been said here. Spent a number of hours in the Pinecrest and Cold Springs Basin talking to business owners, and their losses are all over the place. And they were really adamant that their losses started with the Ferguson fire and were compounded in the Donnell fire. But once Yosemite closed, they started seeing some tremendous losses. So to say that we have some unknowns here, or we're making our best judgment and utilizing those numbers, I think they're highly. We'll see how this plays out, and we need some time. And the other piece that's associated with the Donnell fire that we haven't really experienced in Tuolumne County, we lost 53 cabins and a resort. And we are going to be really compounding the issues over at CRA when we try and get those cabins built. And we know we have some staffing constraints over there now. And we have absolutely made a pledge to those cabin owners, and especially to the resort, that we want to see them back. And so that's going to put some additional pressure on CRA. And I just want this board to recognize that.
Anyone else? Just a question, Debbie, on our sales tax and TOT tax, the next quarter reporting, when is that approximate?
For the sales tax, you're actually 6 months behind. What we get in September is really through June. So you really want the one that comes in December that'll cover the summer. For TOT, you're in the same boat. What they paid and what we accrued through September is through June, because you get it in July and August. And so what we're going to be looking at is what comes in October, November, December for them, and figure out where we are with DOT.
So we really won't know until January. Okay. Any other questions? All right. I'm going to open up the public comment portion. Ms. Peter, did you have something else before I do that?
Yeah, I just want to confirm, do you want me to do the 2 minutes for
Yes,
folks? Do you want
please.
to break that between departments and public?
Yeah, I think staff can have a little bit longer and public
Might want to call for staff comments first.
Okay, let's do it this way. Public comment, 2 minutes. Staff comments, just come on up, because if you have more detail, we're going to really need it. So any staff wish to come up and speak towards the budget? Boy, that really makes it easy.
Yep.
Okay, public comment, 2 minutes, please.
With all respect to people that know a heck of a lot more than me, I'm confused about the decision to reduce the TOT and reduce the sales tax, because I'm thinking of it sort of logically, that in my kind of logic, the reduction of the sales tax and the TOT, all that really does is it cuts into your revenue stream. The impact of tourism and the presence of tourists has nothing to do with them going, oh, cool, look, 1% less over there, and wow, it's only that much percent. We can go there. That's not why. That's not what would be keeping tourists away from us and going someplace else. And just work with me here.
Okay. I can simplify this.
Yes, go ahead, John.
We're just reducing the assumption on the amount of money that we're going to be getting.
Okay, so the TOT is still what it is. Okay, I got really confused by that, like I told you. So anyway, I'm glad to hear that, because, we're all here. And I will say this, in terms of the arts, we are the content. We are a big piece of the content for our local tourists. People come, They have fun. I've had people stop me on the street and say, yeah, what do we do now? We went to the forest and we saw this and we saw, now what do we do? Well, you go to SRT, or you go to that art gallery, or you go hear this band. The arts provide content for our own community and for our visitors. I just want you to keep that always in your mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Elaine Hagan. I live in Tuolumne. I have a question. Is the budget cuts to ATCA and the TCAA, are those a foregone conclusion?
We haven't made any cuts to those. Those are
How many of
requests.
you think it's a foregone conclusion?
Please direct your questions to
Should
the board.
you vote to cut the ATCA and the TCA budget, I would like specific rebuttals to the things that people say today. I have a question or solution. We come here frequently for meetings in the evenings, and the temperature in this room is freezing. And I think that if it's cold enough for a meat locker, I think that if you guys raise the temperature a little bit, that could save you some money and possibly financial budget benefits. Also, the middle sink in the women's bathroom has been leaking for months and months and months. Possibly that would be another suggestion. Is it possible to tie the Tacita budget and have Mr. Cope specifically go after artistic businesses and then report that information to the public? I've heard the suggestion that we should cut the Board of Supervisors' salary. I don't think that's a realistic solution. You guys are worth the money. The grand jury has determined that we needed full-time supervisors. I think the job should be treated as such, and I think that we should vote for candidates who will treat it as such. If the Alliance budget gets cut, the Arts Alliance budget gets cut, we lose those salaries and their benefit to our community. For the people that the arts budget helps, the Arts Alliance helps, the benefits are priceless. We are already losing artistic businesses. We need to be spending money to entice artists to come. We need tourists to come, as BZ said. Please do not cut the TCAA budget. Please do not cut the ATCA budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Lori Sylvester, speaking as a formerly producing artist, but also a professor of art. The arts have been a really powerful economic force around the world, and millions of tourists flock to Florence, Italy annually, and it's all about the arts. The arts guilds wielded much economic power in the Middle Ages, and the artists were the force of their times. You might be familiar with the Renaissance. The artists, their keen observations, attention to detail, and ability to create great works from meager supplies, such as clay pigments from the earth, paper and canvas, and imagination can transform lives. And where there's been a resurgence of the arts, there's been an economic revival. Successful artists have excellent marketing sense and refined business skills. They have had to do much of their own promotion. The arts create destination. Music, visual arts, dance, drama, poetry, prose, photography, all of those have brought people into our community. And they enrich our lives, our homes, and our places of worship. Through the arts, we express and we emote. The arts are what people travel to see. They generate TOT in our county. They are an economic boost. You've just seen how much you lose when Yosemite goes down, but when other arts activities are curbed, that also we lose TOT. They are resilient. An artist can transform $10 in materials into an artwork worth thousands of dollars. We've all occasionally seen that a bureaucrat can take thousands of dollars and reduce it to $10 in output. Invest in the arts as an essential arm of economic development, an essential team member in attracting tourism, and an essential creative environment where young families can thrive in a supportive cultural space. The arts, economic impact plus income generation. It's an investment for both of those.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. First and foremost, please forgive my voice. I've been in and out of the hospital all week. I want to thank you for hearing all of us this morning, and I want to thank everyone for coming to support us. I want to make it very clear that we do understand we've never been a line item in the budget. However, losing this funding this year, I'm going to repeat it one more time, will be detrimental to us. One of the things I'd like to have you consider is that there is another county not far from here who gives $80,000 to their local arts agency. And because of that, they are able to re-grant to other arts agencies, both in their county and otherwise. What a feather in the cap of Tuolumne County that would be if that's something we could accomplish. So I want you to consider that before you take this funding away. Secondly, I also want to thank Evan so much for his inspiration. We've launched a t-shirt campaign, and we are now fundraising because of that. So if anybody wants a t-shirt, go to teespring.com/Tuolumne-County-Arts. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
I'm sorry, I'm not very good at this, so bear with me. I don't have any prepared comments. I've been involved with TCAA for, God, almost since I moved to this county 40 years ago. I'm involved mostly with photography at this point. I have been on their board. I know how important getting this money is. It saved us. There was a time when we were literally dying, and you saved us. I know you have been to many of our functions. I'm sorry, get emotional. Like I said, I'm not good at this. You've been to many of our functions. You've seen the huge crowds that show up for them. Many of you have been to our In Focus reception or the Poetry Out Loud finals. They're inspirational. And one thing you may not know about the In Focus show is that during the 2-week run, Columbia Elementary takes advantage of this opportunity to bring their students over on field trips. And I've been there in the gallery watching these kids walk around just awed by what they're seeing. And they're allowed to vote for their own People's Choice selection, and they take it very seriously. And then they go home and they bring their parents back. We are a great advantage to Columbia. They love us there. They keep inviting us back. And we need the Arts Alliance to provide opportunity for children in this county, as well as the economic impact that we have for us adults. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is David Goldenberg. I've been a resident of the county full-time since 1982, and retired from CAL FIRE, had 35 years with them, and in the last number of years I've really gotten into photography, and I've become a member of TCAA, involved in a couple of different photography clubs, in focus group on their committee, and I've just seen that there's a lot of draw to this county with the arts. A good example is this past weekend on Sunday, I participated at the Fine Art Show in Columbia, downtown in the State Park there, and there was a lot of people that attended that show. And I spoke with many people. I had a booth out there. I was selling some of my work, and there was probably, I would estimate probably about 75% of the people are probably from within the county, but a good 25, maybe a little bit more of the people were from out of the county. And I spoke with a lot of people there, and they were really interested in the show, and they came up specifically, to this county, and I'm sure they drew, funding and sources, benefit economic to the county. So I'm just in support of the arts and wanted to state that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you for your time. My name's Pam Orba, and I am from Center for a Nonviolent Community, which, for those of you who don't know, is Tuolumne County's local domestic violence and sexual assault crisis agency. And I just wanted to speak on behalf of the arts and their role in the restorative and healing process for families and individuals in our community who've experienced trauma and violence. And I just want, we use it in our groups at our agency. We've partnered with TCAA for their events. And I just wanted to express that the healing power of art cannot be underestimated. And a reflection of a community's values is where we put our dollars. And I just really hope you understand that this community values art. And I also want to speak more personally as a millennial and one of the younger members of the audience today. we are driven by art. We are a culture of caring. Millennials, we put our dollars where causes are, is a common conception. And I have friends who use the Maker Lab and are exploring their personal interests, but also potential entrepreneurial endeavors through the Arts Alliance and the facilities that it offers. And I personally go to Second Saturday Art Night. I spend my money in our local restaurants, at our local stores, and I just really hope you understand that this is really valuable to our community. And as a millennial who wants to stay here and grow here and have a family here, that's a draw for me, and I believe I can speak for maybe people my age who are also going to plant roots and have families in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm only up here because Lisette forgot to mention something. I'd kind of rather sit in the back and not talk publicly. I hate this. My name is Mary Smith. I'm a member of the TCA board. And I wanted to let you guys know that one of the things we're working on with the California Arts Council is having Tuolumne County designated as a cultural center. They have a limited number of cultural centers designations, and it is something that has really strongly helped the communities that it has happened in. But that is something that having this board's support will allow us to do and to facilitate. It's not something we can necessarily do without you. I'm also used to volunteer with ATCA. I think it's important that we remember where we put our money as a community reflects on us as a community. The arts and how we take care of those who are the least fortunate among us. That counts. It's important. So thank you.
Thank you.
I also would like to sit in the back, but I feel I should add my voice, one more voice to the need and importance of arts in our community. My name is Holly Britton, and I coordinate the Poetry Out Loud and have been involved since BZ brought it to our community something like 8 years ago. I'm also a curriculum coordinator at an elementary school and see firsthand the effects of arts in the lives of children. And for those of you who may not be in the trenches in terms of education and how it's affecting our kids, let me remind you that art in a very, very unique and special way teaches kids and adults to think outside of themselves. It's not just for the artist, but it is for our society. We learn to respect one another. We learn to listen to one another through the arts. We ultimately learn to live with civility towards one another. It teaches us to be mindful, it teaches us to be careful. And I heard many times throughout this meeting today, many times, art has come up. Those that respect the environment will take public transportation. Those who, I wrote these down so I wouldn't forget. Anyway, those that know how to think outside of their own needs are going to come and register to vote. We're going to remember ethnic and people groups that maybe are not our own, like the Native Americans. We're going to remember those who are missing in action, or POWs, and it brings out the compassion. So I'd like you to remember that although it's not always measurable and not always noticeable, it is always present, the importance of arts in our individual lives and our community. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Laura Mappin, and I also prefer to sit in the back and not add my voice, but I need to add my voice to this issue. I lived without art for decades. I almost committed suicide. Art saved my life, and I know I'm not alone. When I realized I needed art, art organizations were there, which I really appreciated, and I let each one know. Please support the local arts.
My name is Debbie Barron, and I have a quote to say from someone who's far wiser than I am. The arts are essential to any complete national life. The state owes itself to sustain and encourage them. Ill fares the race which fails to salute the arts with the reverence and delight which are their due. Winston Churchill.
Anyone else wish to speak? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the board. I have to keep it open until, okay. All right, thank you. Sorry. All right, so back to the board for discussions.
I'd like to have a discussion first on the county council position and how you envision paying for that. Consistent with your comments, Mr. Pedro, that this is a balanced budget and anything that goes in, something has to get reduced.
Right. Well, as I promised your board when we adopted the recommended budget, and then we met on August 21st, and your board wanted some options of how we would fit that into the budget, it requires reductions in other areas. Anything that we add, there needs to be offsetting reductions. So what I've provided is a list of things that would add up to the amount needed to add that position this year. There would be $5,000 cut from the county administrator's office in our professional services category, something that we will just have to live without. In facilities management, there's about just under $20,000 between our utilities and maintenance building and improvements lines that would be reduced. And I want to be clear on that. We actually did increase between the recommended and the adopted budget before you, those lines for both utilities and maintenance buildings and improvements. But once we saw the final expenses for last year, we think we can go ahead and tap those down a little bit and still have room for growth in those areas. I just want to say I do not relish the idea of reducing things in facilities because we need, you even heard from one of the speakers, we need more, not less. But even with these reductions, it is more than what we spent last year. In IT, we're just taking advantage of some savings from turnover of one position, very minor, $5,000 of savings there. And then in library, we're taking advantage of some, board may not be aware, but we've renegotiated the agreement for where we're renting the space that we use for the Twain Hart Library. And we've used the savings to increase other lines in the library budgets, but just to have a net effect of zero, bottom line change in the library, that gives us about $7,700 of savings there without any reductions in library. It's $7,700 from the professional service line that would give us what would be needed to add that position this year. So dollar for dollar, anything we would spend for the new position, there would be commensurate cuts in other areas of the budget, as I just outlined.
Okay. Well, personally, I would like to make those changes and add the legal assistant position in the county council. We have some things in there that are over a year backlogged, and they are working. It's not because of poor performance in that office. They are working their tails off, and I think that position is a position that will leverage and magnify their productivity beyond the cost that we're putting into it, and every department in our county government is going to have better responsiveness and better quality as a result. I think that is right now a critical logjam, and I would like to recommend to my fellow board members that we consider that.
Any comment?
Yeah, I'd like to make a couple comments. One, first of all, I agree with Supervisor Rutherford. I think the lack of that position is hurting several organizations, departments, in terms of being able to get things done. And our county council is overloaded. We're doing more than we've ever done before. So I would support that. I'd like to comment about ATCA. ATCA, I sit on the ATCA board and I sit on their finance committee, so I know more than the general public knows and my other supervisors. ATCA has run a deficit for the last few years on a number of things. They still have a little bit of funding left that would cover that deficit. And there are a lot of other issues there. But this board supports ATCA with money every year in the budget. We're talking about increased funding that they're asking for, not new funding in terms of never having funded them before. So it's increased funding. You might recall just a few weeks ago we went through and looked at money we had from a CDBG grant, and we gave them over $200,000. I forget the number, $225,000 for the food bank. We love ATCA. Please do. We're not defunding ATCA. That is a misnomer, and we support ATCA in a big way, and we support ATCA's all of ATCA's events that they do. And you just heard from our food bank director about the new Empty Bowl fundraiser. I encourage you all to do it. I have my tickets to do that and support them. So ATCA will survive just fine. Okay, arts. We're not defunding arts either. Arts is not a line item, but I have to tell you, I am the big supporter of the arts, because I've said it before. Beasy challenged me in an email to say it again, so I will. Art speaks to the heart and soul of people like nothing else does. Art, I can't even imagine the world without arts. I live with two of them. They're strange animals in that they think different and they do things different. I can't imagine life without either one of them. One of them is my bride of 53 years. So I love the arts. We're art collectors, although I can't collect art anymore. I don't have any room for more art. That's just the way it is. She told me I have to give up something if I take one more thing.
You could auction it off. You could auction it off for the arts.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Hey, that's not a bad idea. Maybe we'll do some of that, because I do have some that I can't even. The walls are filled, the floors are filled, everything's filled. Anyway, so I really empathize with the arts, and I want to. Someone mentioned poetry out loud. That is my single favorite event the Arts Council puts on every year, because it does so much for these kids. And we have had some outstanding performances by kids from Tuolumne County. We've won the state more than once, and we've gone to the nationals, and it's amazing what those kids do. I'm just thrilled. I would love to find a way to do that. I don't see how to do that in this without reducing some of these uncertainties and risks that I see in this budget that scare me, because it's hard to spend money you don't have or don't know you have. And so I would like to relook at the arts when we get the real numbers. Those TOT and sales tax dollars, for people to know, those weren't arbitrary. Those are actual expected losses because of the Donnell fire and the Ferguson fire. When the area fills with smoke, the tourists stop coming. And I have talked to people at Pinecrest and other places, and their numbers in terms of occupancy and things were down. I heard down 62%. I heard one case where we were only about 18% of what we were last year at this time. Those directly impact our budget and our ability to do anything. So I would be willing to revisit that when those numbers finalize and see if hopefully they come out smaller. I'm more worried that they'll come out bigger losses, and that's a serious thing. I mean, I don't know how to generate cash that we don't have, but I love the arts, so I'm very empathetic to that and would like to find a way somehow.
Anyone else?
That was going to be my question, is looking back in December, revisiting this, and actually I'd like to revisit it for both ADCA and the arts. And I used a cautionary tale when I spoke with the businesses up on 108. That the least impacted thought they were going to be down around 25%. The most impacted thought they'd be down around 60%. And again, we're looking at a longer period than just the Donnell fire windows from the Ferguson fire. But I would really like the opportunity to revisit this when we have those numbers in December.
Supervisor?
Yeah, I think we need more money to pay to fix our roads. I think we need more money to pay our sheriff's deputies and to have a good law enforcement presence in areas where we don't. I think we need to be picking up more trash along the roads. I think we need to be updating our IT infrastructure. I think it's so easy to sit up here and talk about whatever subject the audience makes the most noise about, that's orchestrated campaign to try to get some money out of us. And I just spent the last 2 weeks in northern Idaho, and it's peaceful and quiet, and I want to go back there right now because people make me sick. And you know what? I love people, I love my community, and I hate politics. And I hate being up here in a position to where you just get shot at and shot at and shot at. These are good people, and our staff are good people, and they do good things, and we serve a really important mission. And I believe in the arts. I'm an artist. I draw. I've got newspaper articles from when I was a kid from drawing, winning contests. I've got a guitar in my little room. I go play. I love music. I love poetry. I've taken classes. It's not our position to pay artists. Nothing that we're doing is stopping anyone from being an artist, from promoting art, from having art flourish in this county. That's your guys' job. Go do it. It's not our job to pay you to be artists. So promote Tuolumne County. I love the events. I go to them. I spend money. I love going there with my family. But we have a fundamental mission. We're failing to maintain our damn roads. Our infrastructure is falling apart. We're so irresponsible with the essential things we need to be doing. Our forests are burning down. It's ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
Supervisor? Yep. All right. So reason I asked the question about the TOT and the sales tax is when we look at this budget, we have a lot of unknowns, and it's really difficult. I don't want to look at this as winners and losers. And Supervisor Royce is passionate about his position, and I totally understand the difficulties in doing this job. I've been doing it longer than anybody else up here. But we have to work together to resolve the issues that we have, and I think that we can help with this problem. But I'd like to look at it again later on when we know what the numbers are. There is just too much going on the state level right now. If we don't get SB1, our roads are gone. We're not going to be able to maintain them. We're going to do what Supervisor Hanveld was talking about one day, about turning them to dirt because the money's not there. So I'm in support of this budget, but I would also like to come back and look at the arts allowance item. ADCA, we give many hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to ADCA, and it goes to a great cause. It's a great organization, but I have to rely on the supervisors that do attend those meetings for the information. And you know, I can't talk to either one of them. I'm glad Supervisor Hanvelt spoke up about it today. If Supervisor Royce Rutherford wants to add any more, I'd be happy to hear about it.
Well, I'll just make one point that I think that we need to be aware of, and everybody in the ATCA food chain, I guess, is aware of it as well. ATCA did go to both counties that are in the JPA and asked for funding increase, and Amador County approved the funding increase. So we don't have, and that we've been very clear with them that we don't have the financial wherewithal this year to support the increase that they want. And again, this is an increase request. It's not, we're not taking money away. We're just not adding money to. But I do think that in future budgets, to be good partners with Amador, we need to look for ways eventually to get to a commensurate level that they're putting in. That's just part of being in the JPA. So that's something that I don't want to change this year's budget, but I think next year when we do next year's budget, we need to be willing to look at making that commitment out there in terms of ATCA. And honestly, I love the arts, and I really do support the arts. I'm not going to go into all the ways that I do. It's not important. And I do love them. But this really is an instance of no good deed goes unpunished. Because when we started giving money to the arts, it was always on a year by year. And we were very clear that it was not a long-term commitment. And to have people come in here and accuse us of taking money away from the arts is just not accurate. I'm sorry. We have been good supporters of the arts. This is a particularly difficult budget year. It was hard to start with, but the fires certainly made it much harder. So it's not that we don't support the arts. And certainly I would support if our estimates come in too high on the potential lost revenue and we have some money laying around, I would certainly support relooking at the arts. So that's my comment. Are we still in?
We're still talking.
We're still in the hearing?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll stop then.
Right. Mr. Pedro?
So if I'm hearing things correctly, the board generally supports the budget as presented to you, but I hear consensus that you'd like us to make the reductions that I outlined in order to support the new position in council. Some
Correct.
reductions in some areas with offsetting increase to support the new position in county council. If that's the case, if we're changing things, and my request would be that we continue this item to this afternoon so we can make changes. That's continuing the hearing as well into the afternoon so we can make those changes in the budget and take your formal action at that time. And one thing, Sherry, that you said as far as December, we'll need to get through the end of December before we get those numbers. So Trace and I have talked about the potential of trying to move up our mid-year budget review and try to do that maybe at the second meeting in January. So you could potentially do something early in the year. But anyway, you'll need, bottom line, you'll need to get through December before you'll get those numbers.
Correct.
I would just say that I appreciate Supervisor Rutherford's comments because it really got at my concern, and that is that it's a JPA. And with Amador increasing their commitment, I did talk to Raj, because I wanted to be certain that we had a proportionate use in that overhead. And actually, I have a complete confidence in that and with the services that Tuolumne County is getting. So if you want to make that adjustment, look at that in next year's budget, I would be fine with that.
Okay. Any other board comment? So you have enough direction to bring this back
Right.
later?
We'll bring this back after your already scheduled 1:30 items.
Okay. And so we'll have more public comment when we do come back. I'd like to take a 10-minute break. Pardon? Want to recess for 20 minutes? Okay, we're going to take a 20-minute break and be back at 11 o'clock. Nothing interesting.
Oh, we don't count? Everybody else.
Do I have to do that again?
No,
Everybody
you're
heard
good.
me all right?
We're good.
Okay.
So this is a public hearing to consider Tawonga Jewish Community Corporation. It's an ordinance for a zone change and notice of exemption.
All right, I'm going to open the public hearing. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I'm Natalie Rizzi, and I'm the project planner for Zone Change RZ 18-007, and the applicant is Tawonga Jewish Community Corporation. Here are the vision, mission, and value statements as adopted by Tuolumne County, which we utilize for projects. Zone change RZ 18-007 to rezone a 16.2 acre portion of a 160 acre parcel from K, which is general recreation, to O, which is open space, and a 9.8 acre portion of a 160 acre parcel from O to K under Title 17 of the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code. The zone change is a condition of Conditional Use Permit CUP 17-008 to preserve habitats and cultural resources on site. Conditional Use Permit CUP 17-008, which proposes upgrades and an expansion of Camp Tawonga in a multi-phase master plan, has been approved. The project site is located at 31201 Mather Road in the community of Groveland, assessor's parcel number 68-040-18. It is a 160 acre parcel zoned K, which is general recreation, and the general plan designation is Parks and Recreation. Here is a map of the project site. The site is surrounded by U.S. forestry land. The middle fork of the Tuolumne River flows through the southeastern corner of the site. This map shows the existing open space. The proposed zone change will protect biological and cultural resources. Zone change RZ 18-007 proposes to preserve all second priority wetland and riparian habitat identified on site. The existing 9.8 acres of open space in the northwest corner of the parcel is considered third priority habitat. This portion will be changed back to K zoning in favor of protecting all the second priority habitat. The open space will also protect cultural resources on site. Here is a map of the proposed open space. The open space surrounding the river will be retained. Here are the findings for the zone change application. The proposed zone change is consistent with the Tuolumne County General Plan. The proposed zone change is in accordance with the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code. The project site is suited to the uses permitted under the proposed zoning districts, and the project is categorically exempt from environmental review under the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to Section 15307 of the State CEQA Guidelines. This project was heard by the Planning Commission at its regular meeting on August 15, 2018. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of zone change RZ 18-007. Your decision process today. The Board of Supervisors may either approve the project with any modifications, deny the project, or send the project back to staff to work on. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the board?
Just confirming that County Council agrees with the findings in terms of CEQA.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm just curious. They taking, was it 9 acres, and they're changing it from O to K, and they're taking 16 acres and changing it from K to O. That seems like an imbalance. Why are they doing that?
They are proposing the open space to preserve all the second priority habitat, which is all the wetland and riparian areas as shown on the map.
They aren't going to build on it anyway, so it would normally be preserved. My problem is with this is open space, and the rules associated with open space and how you manage it bother me, because I think open space rules in the county promote the propagation of wildland fire. And I don't think they're going to build on it anyway. It's going to remain open space de facto, and I think it's an overreach, but that's just a policy thing on my part. I just don't think we should be good citizens, and Camp Tawonga is a good citizen, okay? Preserve open space anyway, de facto. I mean, I don't have any open space on or very little on my property, but I maintain the property for the benefit of the wildlife and the habitat. And I think they do the same thing. I just think restricting it is not necessarily appropriate. That's just a comment. If they want to do it, they want to do it. I'm okay.
Supervisor Royce?
Yeah, Randy, I think that's a really good comment and really good thought, and I agree with you. And I think in the future, there should be an effort to consider reviewing our open space ordinances and how those affect other factors for things like wildfire, and how we have flexibility built into our policies to accommodate all the different scenarios that come into play, not just the basic planning efforts. But beyond that, I think that's another discussion, but it is something good to talk about and something we should look at in the future. But as far as this project goes, I think it's a really good project, and I think staff did a good job on the report and the plan.
I can open up a public hearing.
And it's time to open up a public hearing, so I'll shut up.
Okay, open up the public hearing. Anyone wish to speak in favor of this project? Please come to the podium.
Good morning. My name is Ken Kramars. I'm with the Tawonga Jewish Community Corporation. I've been working here in the county since 1981 at Camp Tawonga, and I think I just want to speak to your issues because I think they're really legitimate issues. But I want to just frame this in something very nice, which is the fact that tonight is Yom Kippur, which is our most sacred day and night of the year. It's a time to be very grateful and recount blessings. So we see this ironically as a blessing, even though we're increasing our open space. And I get that in another situation it may be problematic, but we're super aggressive about wildland fire interface and everything that's associated with it. So in this plan, what are some of the things in this plan? We get to replace buildings that are old wooden structures built 50 years ago with hardy board, exterior cement board, exterior building that's resist fire. We get to bury the PG&E overhead lines that go right through our land, which can be their own fire source, but even better, we're a designated dip site that the CAL FIRE and Forest Service uses with their helicopters. They come to our lake, but they're restricted by the overhead lines that are there. By burying them, we give them even more access to firefighting. And finally, just within our property, we are really, really very aggressive about managing the tree population. We've probably taken out 2,000 trees since the bark beetle infestation and the Rim Forest Fire came through. That's a lot. So we work very closely with CAL FIRE and Forest Service again to create all kinds of buffers and make sure that fire can't come in and fire can't leave us. So I hope that, it's better. And I'm here for any other questions you have.
Any questions? All right. Anyone else wish to speak in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone neutral? All right. Oh, you got to be quick. You got to be quick.
You weren't quite quick enough, Con.
I have my spot. Didn't Natalie do a good job?
She did a wonderful
I was
job.
thinking, is this your first time before the board itself? Second time. Okay, well, for the second time, didn't she do a good job?
Yes, she did. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to close the public hearing.
Well, Mr. Chair, can I just make a quick point in terms to respond to Supervisor Hanvelt with regard to the change in open space? This was a requirement of their conditional use permit, so it was one of the mitigation factors or conditions for that conditional use permit, and it was based on the biological study that the applicant submitted.
Yep.
So when we look at where that's coming from, and I know that your issues with open space and what's allowed in there have been heard by staff and will be addressed when the zoning code can be amended.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a good spot for that.
All right, Supervisor Royce.
Yeah, with that, on behalf of Supervisor Gray, who's District 4 Supervisor, I'd be happy to make a motion to approve the proposed zone change RZ 18-007 based on findings A through D.
Second.
Okay, I think we had a tie, but I'll give it to Supervisor Roder for a motion by Supervisor Royce, second by Supervisor Roder. For any more public comment? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Good job. Do you want to do 14 and then go to closed session?
Reports.
Mr. Pedro? No report. Mr. Hanvelt?
Yes, sir. After the last Board of Supervisors meeting, I went to Washington, D.C., acting on behalf of the county and on behalf of RCRC to attend the NACO WIR built fly-in. On Thursday, we met with, I forget, 14 or 15 different congressmen, senators, or their offices. And we got really positive responses from all of them regarding not only renewal of PILT, but looking at a permanent fix for PILT. We got enthusiasm for supporting SRS as well, but not so much for the permanent fix. They all, well, at least in one case, one of them believes it's a little more than a bridge to getting back to managing our healthy forests, and they're right. The problem is when we get back to managing our healthy forests, when is that going to be? That's kind of a long way out. Anyway, I'm very encouraged that we will get PILT renewal. I'm very encouraged we will get SRS renewal. But until it happens, it hasn't happened. So we need to keep the pressure on that. The other one that happened was that the Farm Bill is in the committee where they are trying to reconcile the difference between the Senate and the House. And I got a call from a district director, one of the congressmen that we know well, and he told me that the Senate, there were people in the Senate who were trying to strip the forest management techniques out of the new farm bill. And so I've written notes to both Feinstein's office and Harris's office, asking them to support those forest management issues because they're really important for us moving forward with our master stewardship agreement and with the Healthy Forest Task Force of the governor and the state. And I commented that effort would be contrary to the best interests of the state of California.
All right, thank you. Supervisor Brennan?
Yeah, just a couple pieces, because I think it's really important to recognize how a lot of the work that we're doing in the county and that the board has been promoting are really coming together. On the 5th and 6th, I was in Alturas, California, in Modoc County for the Sierra Nevada Conservancy meeting. And there is going to be it'll be in excess of $60 million that are going to be allocated to the Sierra Nevada range for forest restoration projects from the bond initiative that was passed in June. There's going to be a very strong emphasis on those allocations being predicated on having a master plan. And Tuolumne County is going to be very uniquely positioned because of the work that we've done with the Master Stewardship Agreement, more recently with a grant that was received from the state and utilizing LIDAR. We will have a master plan in place that's going to position us well to be the recipient of a lot of potential project dollars. And so this work, we're going to see the benefits of what we're doing today with the dollars that we've received. We are really going to be able to get more revenue for actual projects on the ground, which are going to be very important for Tuolumne County. The second thing that I'd like to remind everyone is that the over-the-snow vehicle plan is being evaluated by the U.S. Forest Service. They are going to do a second listening session, which will be on October 2nd at the Greenlee Road office from 6 to 8. If you are interested in the over-the-snow plan, you need to respond. They're looking for, again, substantive comments. And then we will be looking at that issue again at the Natural Resource Committee. So please, if you have comments on the over-the-snow plan, forward them either to Supervisor Hanfeld, Ms. Peterson, or myself. Thank you.
Okay, Supervisor Royce. No report. Supervisor Rotifer.
Sure. On the 8th, I was very pleased to be able to go to the fundraiser at Railtown for the Jamestown Family Support Center. If you're not aware of their mission, they provide family support services to probably one of our more disadvantaged communities. The last time I heard, 90% of the students at Jamestown Elementary are on one level of food support or another, and they do help out down there quite a bit. It was a great event. It was a Texas Hold'em train ride. Look for it next year if you missed it. On the 10th, I attended a general plan town hall meeting in Columbia, where we actually got out a little bit early. I was kind of surprised, but very good comments from the community, very informed comments. There were quite a few people from the previous Columbia Planning Commission, Columbia Area Planning Commission that were there that have a lot of extensive experience with, personal experience with general plans and everything. So I really appreciate the community coming out and giving our staff some really good input. And then on the 14th, as with probably almost all of you and a lot of the community as well, we feted once Sheriff Jim Mealy out at Black Oak Casino at the hotel. And it was a great event. He was presented with a lot of really cool stuff. I wish I had some of that. It was really nice. But it was a really great send-off for a man that has been a really great sheriff and a partner of this board these many years. On the 15th, I helped support the arts with Blue Mountain Minerals. They had a gathering at the City Hotel, and then we all walked down to the theater. to see the performance. It was a great performance. If you haven't seen it, please think about going to it. It is important to support the arts. And on the 16th, I attended the Liberty Institute USA Constitution Day celebration. I was actually asked by, I'm not sure he thought about this too well, but I was actually asked by Rocky Deal to take care of Congressman McClintock while he was here. And I have to tell you, I don't care politics or not. That guy can talk about the Constitution of the United States and our nation's founding like nobody. Okay, that if you haven't heard that guy speak, it's worth going to listen to him. Okay, it's just he ought to be a professor at some university in American history and specializing in that area. So that was a great opportunity to hear that again, and that's my report. Thank you.
County Council.
Sure. Over the last few weeks, our office has been working on some personnel matters, litigation, juvenile dependency cases, Economic Development Authority, and then I was, as one of the board of directors for the County Council Association, in charge of planning the annual County Council Conference. So we just had that last week, and it was really a big success. We had some really interesting speakers, pension issues, fair employment and housing issues, CEQA land use issues, and we also had the county council from San Bernardino come speak to us about the mass shooting incident a few years ago and all of the legal issues surrounding that. So it was just a really good conference, and I'm happy that it's over. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk?
I actually have something to report too.
All right.
So on September 10th, I was able to attend our California Clerk of the Board of Supervisors regional meeting in Madera County. And also I did attend former Sheriff Mealy's retirement celebration on Friday, the 14th.
All right. Last week I had office hours in Groveland, and one of my visitors, I'll name him because he's a public official also, Jerry Baker. He's one of our planning commissioners, and he's working on a plan to try to get the U.S. Forest Service to do a better job in building planes that dump a lot of fire retardant. Yeah. So he's got a Facebook page of about 900 people right now, and I'm trying to hook him up with the right people. As we all know, Jerry's a pretty smart guy, and he's done a lot of research, and he seems to think that if we can spend a few dollars on planes, we might save a lot of money in the fighting of them. So, but that was a good meeting. Also met on the community hall in Groveland yesterday about the repairs. We're going to try to work all the repairs around the events that are scheduled there. It's always a juggling act because people want to use the hall, but they want to have a nice hall. So it's really tough to get all that job done. Also, I attended the sheriff's event, a really good event, and I think he was sent into retirement in a very nice way. And I guess that's my report.
John?
Yes.
If I can mention one item. Back to the Donnell fire, the Forest Service has finished their bear report. They have the bear team that comes in. They look at after the fire. And there are some significant, severely burned areas that are up there, and which could cause debris flows. Yes. And I've asked them if they could come here, perhaps at the first meeting in October, and give your board that full report. And there are absolute direct consequences potentially of those burned soils and how quickly some folks may be able to get back in and get rebuilt. I've just encouraged them, don't treat everything just carte blanche. Some areas have a greater risk than others, and they've got to be careful. You don't want anyone to get hurt because you have a debris flow that is predictable, and then put them in harm's way. At the same token, do what you can to manage that risk and allow folks in. But the best thing to do is to have them come before you, give that full report, And I've asked them if they could also be prepared at that time, if possible, to talk with you about what the force's policy or position will be with respect to allowing folks, back in to start working on those buildings. And having said that, I just reiterated the county's pledge that we will do everything that we can possibly do to expedite people getting going again, particularly with respect to the Dardanelles, but not to the exclusion of others.
Absolutely. Do you have that report? The Bear report?
I have a copy.
Public?
I don't know.
If you can route that to us.
Right. Okay. But we'll definitely get them to come and give the full thing before you.
Okay. In the reports, clerk, please read our closed session item.
This is closed session, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, authority, government code, section 549-569D1. Mark Kurzich et al. Versus County of Tuolumne, United States District Court, Eastern District of California, case number 116 CV 101116 DAD SAB.
Do we expect to report anything out? No. Any public comment on a closed session? All right, we're going to adjourn the closed session and probably be back here about 1:30. Okay, we're going to report out from closed session. We have nothing to report. Will the clerk please read our 1:30 appointment?
Okay, the first 1:30 is a public hearing to consider adopting an ordinance amending Tuolumne County Ordinance Code Chapter 3.40.010 and 3.40.020 related to fees for planning.
Good afternoon, members of the board and Chairman Gray. Liz Peterson.
Good morning, or good afternoon.
Liz Peterson, County Administrator's Office. I have with me Quincy Yaley, who is the Deputy Director of Planning for the Community Resources Agency. Assistant Director of Development. That's it. Sorry about that. I am here today for your consideration of the final department in the general fund who will be reviewing and updating their fees. I want to just take you through the process. As you know, we have been updating our fees based on time studies that have been conducted by all the departments. In planning, things are a little different. We don't, for a variety of reasons, simply just a time study for projects that have been submitted to the planning department is not was determined to be not the most effective and appropriate way to determine the cost of the services. And so with Quincy's direction and assistance from Carlin Dribdahl, Deputy County Counsel, we worked on developing a structure and a process for developing the fees that was based on the amount of time that a project should or will take based on her expertise. Again, we didn't have the quality of data for time studies that we've been using in the past. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. So you'll see in Attachment A the proposed fees for the planning department or planning division, I'm sorry. Generally, the proposal in front of you is to divide the fees based on determine the cost of a fee if it requires CEQA or not. That really is what determines the amount of staff time that a service takes. Previously, we had divided the fees based on the size of a project, and so this is the major change that we're bringing here before you. Let's see, Attachment B is those proposed fees. Attachment B are the old fees, so you can see kind of a comparison. And then Attachment C, we have a list of, as much as we could, some county comparisons for local county or other counties surrounding Tuolumne County, just to see, for your information, to see how our fees compare. I should mention that chart is not only not exhaustive for a variety of reasons, but also most other counties provide their fee structure is based on a deposit, and then the rest of the fee is collected based on like a time and materials. And we talked a lot about this in developing or trying to develop a process forward that would be transparent for the public, that would be clear, that would be easier to quantify. We felt like a time and materials fee just wouldn't be the best method to move forward, but I just want you to see that most other counties do collect in that method, a deposit and then a time and materials. So we felt like for the assurance, especially for the public and developers, that they should know upfront what they're paying for.
Just a quick clarification on the counties that do the deposit and then time and materials. Is that deposit credited to the time and material, or is that in addition to?
I think most of the time it's credited to the time and material, yeah. And the deposit, so time and material is kind of above and beyond of what the deposit is. But there's really, the difficulty is for that situation, like I mentioned, is there's really no way of knowing how much your project's going to cost. And so it's a little tough. So we are not proposing to do that today. And I think Quincy has a few other things that she would like to mention as far as some specific fees that, one that we would like to adjust and a couple that we would like to add. So I'll turn it over to her.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Just wanted to point out a couple of interesting items in the proposed fee schedule. As Liz mentioned, we're moving away from a model that where the application fee was based on the valuation of a project and moving towards a model where the application fee is based on the level of CEQA analysis required. Basically, assuming a project will fall into one of three levels of CEQA analysis, either a CEQA exemption, a mitigated neg deck, an initial study, or an EIR. And so that's reflected in the proposed fee schedule you have today. Another change is with the addition of a revision fee. There are instances where our staff is working on a project and there is a major change to the project description that may require work that had already been completed, including the mailing of notices to adjacent property owners, advisory agencies, including rewriting the CEQA document and the agenda report. And currently our division has no way to collect for the time spent to redo that work. This would not be applied to projects where revision is necessitated. We're not talking about changing the number of parking spaces. This is a true project revision, and there's some language in the fee schedule that outlines that. Lastly, we are updating the appeal fee. Currently, the appeal fee is approximately $164. We did look at some time studies of that, the appeal process, and found out it costs considerably more to process an appeal. And so initially, our staff had proposed a $500 appeal fee, and the Finance Committee, when we met with them, recommended $1,000. And so that is also being brought forward to you today. We did meet with the Finance Committee as well as other members of the public regarding the proposed changes to get their feedback and comments on it.
Quincy?
Yes.
Just to clarify, going from 500 to 1,000 on the appeal fee, that 1,000 is still under what the cost is to process that and carry that appeal all the way through, right?
Considerably.
Yes.
Less.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's not in any way penal. It is recouping some of our more of our costs.
That's correct. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have regarding our proposed changes.
Any questions from the board? She's giving me direction, and I'm the chairman. I don't know what to do. Okay. So I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. Any public comment on this matter? Okay, seeing none, bring it back to the board for any final comments.
I'll be happy to
Wait.
make a motion, Mr. Chair, on staff recommendation.
A motion by
The hearing.
close public hearing? Public hearing's closed. Okay. So, thanks, Chris. Motion by Supervisor Royce, second by Supervisor Hanvelt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Passes 7-0. Thank you. Clerk, please read our second 1:30 appointment.
This is a presentation on SB1 programs, including transportation projects that the Tuolumne County region could potentially construct with the new SB1 funding in the next 20 years.
Good afternoon, Chairman Gray and Board of Supervisors. With me today is Kim McFarland. Kim is handing out copies of the slides on our PowerPoint here. We've been asked to give an update to the Board of Supervisors as we did at our Tuolumne County Transportation Council on Senate Bill 1, which is also known as the Road Repair and Accountability Act. It was passed in April 2017. And as you know, there is a Proposition 6 on the ballot this coming November that seeks to, if approved by the voters, will repeal the funding that is tied to Senate Bill 1. And so our purpose here today is just to provide information to both this board as well as the public so that as they go into the voting booth, they understand, how those taxes are currently being used or look to be used in the future. So with that, I'm going to start the presentation up and talk about how these funds work and how they're used regionally. And Kim is going to, at some point, jump in and talk about how locally we use these funds on the transportation system. So what is SB1? SB1 is a program that allows us, the state to invest over $5 billion annually in road maintenance, repair, safety improvements, all on the highway system, local roads, bridges, tunnels, but also has a smaller amount of funding for mass transit, bicycle, and pedestrian facilities. These are all the different taxes and fees that are included as part of the Road Repair and Accountability Act. I'll run through them very quickly. Most notably, the gas tax was increased by 12 cents a gallon to 41.7 cents per gallon. Diesel taxes were increased 20 cents per gallon to 36 cents per gallon. And the sales tax on diesel was increased 4 percentage points to 13%. There were also transportation improvement fees, which are levied when you go to register your car. That is a price-based fee program, as shown on the chart here. And then finally, there was a $100 fee for owners of zero-emission vehicles, being the year 2020. That fee helps with the Teslas and electric vehicles on our road system that are presently using the road system but are not contributing to its long-term maintenance or expansion. Okay, so why do we have, let's see, did I go back? My slides are a little bit out of order here. Okay, thank you, Kim. So why do we need SB1? California's road conditions rank 48th out of 50 states in the nation. We have local needs such as traffic congestion and delay in downtown Sonora. We do know that there is extreme congestion on Highway 108-49 through Jamestown on weekends, particularly on holiday weekends. And then we also have significant vehicle and pedestrian safety needs. Unfortunately, we know all too often that when you have a conflict between an automobile and a pedestrian or bicyclist, it's oftentimes very tragic. I would also point out that the 2016 Regional Transportation Plan, it looks at all the needs on our transportation system in all modes and all jurisdictions, looking out to the year 2040. And at that time, we estimated the shortfall in funding over the 20-year period at $688 million. That's just capital needs. That doesn't include maintenance. So the needs are significant. Thank you. So that's the need and how we're generating revenues in Tuolumne County. This is looking at a little bit on where the funds are going. What you'll see here is $1.5 billion annually goes out to local streets and roads, and $1.5 billion annually goes out to the State Highway Operation Protection Program, which I'll talk a little bit more later. The SHOP program of the state is generally your major maintenance, rehabilitation, safety projects type basic maintenance of your state highway system. The bulk of the funds, well over 50%, go towards repair and maintenance of the system. I think that's what we've heard from the voters, that is the most critical need, and clearly that shows up in how the funds are directed. But there's also $400 million for bridge maintenance, $300 million for goods movement and freight projects, $250 million a year for congested corridors, $300 million to the local partnership program. That's the one that if we had a sales tax measure approved by the voters or something like that, we can tap into that fund. $100 million for active transportation program. That's your bicycle and pedestrian programs. And then $750 million for transit. I'm going to have to get my glasses on for this one. So this graphic here, it's a little bit confusing. I'll just try and keep it real simple. The red, the circle shapes indicate revenues. The boxes indicate expenditure programs. And the first thing that's worth noting is the red one down in the lower left-hand corner. It's a $706 million loan repayment. So all the funds that were loaned out, that were constitutionally protected funds, that's an important distinction, that were loaned to the general fund have been paid back. That $706 million happened in this year's state budget. There is also a reset on the price-based excise tax. And of that money, 44% goes into the State Transportation Improvement Program, 44% to local streets, and 12% to SHOP. We got 20 cent. I mentioned the 20-cent increase in excise diesel tax. About half of that goes to trade corridor enhancements. Trade corridors are your major federal highways that serve interregional freight goods movement from your ports into inland areas. It's the I-80, it's 5, it's 99. It's the ones that trucks really use. So much of their diesel taxes go into that program. That will certainly benefit the public. Sir?
Yeah, Darren, back up real quickly on that $706 million loan payment. You made the point that that is for funds that were loaned out that were constitutionally protected.
That's correct.
There were other transportation funds that have been basically diverted to other purposes that were not constitutionally protected, or they're not?
They are not constitutionally protected. A good example is the sales tax on gasoline. It was implemented, I think, during the Reagan administration to support the general fund post Proposition 13. At some point, the state budget was good enough that Democrats and Republicans agreed that a better use of this is to dedicate those sales tax on gasoline to transportation. So it was a philosophical agreement, but then when the budget crunch hit, at some point they divert it back into the general fund, which was its original purpose.
So it's still an accurate statement to say that there are transportation funds that are being used elsewhere?
Yes,
Thank
to
you.
a certain extent. I think that SB 1 and other measures go a long ways to bringing all the funds into transportation, but some people will stretch your comment to say sales tax on car repairs should go towards transportation. Sales tax on automotive parts should go to transportation, and you can just go a long ways with all that kind of logic.
No, but these sales tax were originally for use on roads.
No, they're originally used to support the general fund. When the general fund got healthy enough, the legislature decided to use it on transportation, but it's a philosophical thing, not a constitutionally protected
Understand.
thing.
If I could expand on that question, if I back up a few charts, on the SB1, you said it increased the gas tax by 12 cents per gallon from 29.7 to 41.7. Where's 29.7 going?
It's constitutionally protected.
That is the constitutionally protected?
Yes.
Well,
Those
we
are
should
your
be getting a
highway
lot of
user
money for it.
taxes. Yeah. Okay. So resuming on this chart, the 12 cents excise tax that the typical consumer or motorist pays, 100% of that goes into the road maintenance and rehabilitation account. 50% goes to SHOP, 50% goes to local streets and roads, SHOP again being the state maintenance program. But there are some set-asides for things like the self-help incentives, active transportation, and planning grants and the like. But those, I say those, but I want to caveat, those are very, very small amounts compared to the billions that go to maintenance or other places. You can see that there's an estimate beginning in 2020 about $18 million for electric vehicle fees. That'll also go into road maintenance. Transportation improvement fee, that's your DMV fees, about $350 million a year, if I'm looking at this correctly, goes towards transit. $250 million to the Solutions for Congested Corridor program. I'll talk about that more in a moment. And then the remaining amount, approximately $900 million a year, goes back into the road maintenance program. And then finally, the 4% sales tax on diesel fuel, for the most part, goes into various transit programs and has been for quite some time. So with SB1, you do get a lot of various questions. We thought we'd kind of hit the most commonly asked questions and go down this list. First is, how much does it cost the motorist? The Department of Finance has estimated the average motorist is going to pay roughly $10 a month. We say roughly because that's looking at both what it costs to register your vehicle as well as what you'll be paying in additional taxes at the pump. But people drive different cost of cars, so that number can vary. This is based on the average cost of car registered with California. Does any of the money go into the state general fund? No. Will there be any oversight and accountability? One of the neat things about SB1, and you know this, you have approved a list of projects to be used, how you're going to use your SB1 funds as a board. City Council did the same. That gets forwarded to the state. The TCTC also programs various projects or applies for grants. That goes into a state database. And you can find a list of all the projects around California and rebuildcalifornia.gov. Is any money going to high-speed rail? No money goes to high-speed rail from SB1. And then finally, gas tax loans to the general fund have been paid back. As I mentioned, it's been fully paid back. Again, does it really fix and repair pavement? $3.3 billion a year, that's well over half of the money goes directly to road repair and maintenance. Alleviate congestion, yes it does, and we'll talk about that here in a moment, as well as the road capacity projects in the congested corridor program. I have a typo on this slide that talks about the amount of jobs from SB1, and the estimate is 65,000 jobs over the next decade, assuming a $5 billion level of revenue accrued from this. Not 650,000, but 65,000 jobs. That's very significant. And finally, the trucking industry pays a tremendous amount towards the highway system, and this program provides $328 million annually to improve those freight corridors. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Kim, and she's going to talk about the local program.
Thanks, Darren. So pavement projects are prioritized here in Tuolumne County using the pavement management program software called Street Saver. And our crew goes out. We have about 600 annual inspections conducted throughout the county. All that data is then collected and brought back into the model, along with some road crew reports and customer complaints, just really to ground truth out the model. we get a project list, basically, that's prioritized through this software. And then, of course, we consider economies of scale, getting the best value for our dollar. Does it make sense to mobilize large equipment and materials for a half mile as opposed to maybe 2 miles of better quality road? The pavement condition index is simply a scale. We're just going to educate a few folks in case you don't know what it is. It's a scale from 0 to 100, 0 being a failed road and 100 being an excellent road. Statewide, our average PCI is about 66, and this is a photo representing a PCI of 66. 66 is important because, as you can see by this curve, we start getting away from routine maintenance and into major repairs and reconstruction. The costs go up incredibly when you start moving into those sorts of pavement treatments. Unfortunately, our county road average is 33. This photo, I've used this before, and I apologize. This photo is Jacobs Road, and the PCI is actually a 0. We don't have a photo of a PCI with 33, and I'll explain why. Because regionally, our roads look like this. So our major collectors and arterials are all in pretty good shape, blue and green, but we have a lot of minor collectors and local roads that are in very bad shape. And so when averaged out, that equals 33. And we are continuing to see a decline in our PCI year upon year. So that brings us to SB1, the Road Repair and Accountability Act. Last year wasn't a full year of funding, but we did receive $750,000. And we were able to do a few of these projects. This is available on our Tuolumne County website. It's a GIS map, and you can click on each icon to figure out what's been done. We've replaced the controllers in 8 signal lights, as well as the Jacksonville Road chip seal project. And we thought this might be a good time to update people on pavement lingo. So there are 3 major components of a road. Asphalt pavement is the top, the overlay, and then you have a crushed aggregate base on top of native soil. But here in Tuolumne County, we actually have some roads that are missing that aggregate base. So these are original, some of them are old cattle ranch roads with just pavement on top. So when you look at roads like that, you can't just do a simple repair. You're talking about a major reconstruction. Some additional terms that you may hear us mention in our pavement management report. We have preventative maintenance, and that's slurry seals, microsurfacing, and chip seals, which I just mentioned, and here are some photos. And then we get into rehabilitation, mill and fill, rubberized asphalt, and then finally reconstruction. So looking ahead for 2018-19 SB1 projects, these are just a few examples of some of the projects we have in the books. But Tuolumne Road North treatment, we're going to either do a mill and fill or reconstruction, which is about a $1.2 million project. I believe the pavement treatment will start at Ponderosa and end at the 108 interchange. And then we also have a lot of culvert replacements in the works, Algerine, Tuolumne, Lime Kiln, and I'm showing Ferretti Road only because I'm trying to emphasize how important it is when a culvert fails. It can be catastrophic, so it's important to keep our culverts in good shape. And then big picture, this graph really represents some of our traditional funding sources through the Streets and Highway Code. And you can see that's the blue, SB1 funding at the top on 17 and 18. Really projected funding, we're looking at almost doubling our funds coming into the county if it all goes well in November. So.
Okay, so we now know kind of how the county is spending their funds presently on their road maintenance program. We want to touch on a little bit how we're using some of the funds regionally from some of the other pots. So the first project I want to talk a little bit about coming through our Regional Transportation Improvement Program is the Peace Slope Interchange. I think everybody knows that when we built East Sonora Bypass, particularly Stage 2, we had funding shortages and we had to reduce cost or lose the project. So we reduced cost by eliminating the westbound off-ramp and the eastbound on-ramp. We now have funding secured for that project. It's a very important project for the East Sonora Standard Area economic development in the county. It's about a $10 million project, and we should see that go to construction in 2019. If the funding is repealed, we're likely to see that project get pushed back. The other project that we're getting funding through in the amount of $3.6 million from the state is for what we call a safety operational improvement project on Mono Way. It's in East Sonora. It's the section of old highway east of Standard Road that has been relinquished back to the county. This will not only resurface the road, but put shoulders in to provide a safe area for pedestrians and cyclists. It will correct a couple skewed intersections, put in a left turn pocket. We have seen a fatality out there in recent years, and we hope to do this project and avoid further conflicts of that nature. And then we also want to point out the top project in our regional transportation plan after getting Peaceful Oak Interchange completed is to widen Highway 49, 108 through the Jamestown corridor, roughly starting on the west, just west of Main Street, and then going along past Rawhide Road up to about the east side of Sierra Motors. This would be a 5-lane widening with curb, gutter, sidewalks, all the appropriate transit stops and whatnot. A much safer road than what's out there today. We think this is also an important project from an economic development standpoint. We know that the congestion on holiday weekends that our tourists up here experience is significant, and that's why it's a high priority project. But we also have other high priority projects such as the North-South Connector. Otherwise, Phase 1 is known as Greenlee Road Extension. This is a project that's been a priority for the city and the county and the region as a whole going back into the 80s. And in our most recent update of the Regional Transportation Plan, we were not able to identify any expected funds for this project through the year 2040. However, with SB 1 providing $250 million a year to the Congested Corridor Program, we estimate that that project could be completed in as little as 10 to 15 years. The state has already dedicated resources to do what they call Congested Corridor Plan, which is a prerequisite to getting funding from the state. The state, if they support this project, will pay 100% of the construction costs. Now, we would still need to cover the cost of environmental right-of-way, perhaps right-of-way, and other project development costs. But it's a great opportunity for us to look at going forward on. And then I did want to mention SB 1 also requires the state, in the legislation, it requires the state to coordinate with locals better than they ever have before on their state highway operations protection program. And we've seen that at the TCTC where the state reached out to us. They came out and they wanted to know what are our priority projects, and we identified what the candidate projects that are in our regional transportation plan. We looked at those and gave some prioritization to those. You can see some of the projects here. They're important, like the curve correction at Rock House Curve, South Washington Street congestion at 108 is really bad. That's an important project as well. Just a number of projects, including Columbia Way, School Street, and Shaw's Flat in front of the high school. I think everybody knows that's a skewed intersection and can be very challenging both for the pedestrians as well as motorists. So the state, we estimate, could see as much as $30 million in additional revenue in Tuolumne County, and they are working with us, want to know what we see as priorities from the local perspective. So that's good news. And then finally, a couple other smaller funding programs is the Active Transportation Program. We did submit, working with the state, an application for pedestrian and bicycling facilities in the Groveland area. We had a lot of public input on that. We had some public meetings. It will provide much safer pedestrian and bicycle facilities on both the highway as well as up Ferretti Road, linking with some existing sidewalk on Ferretti Road. That's estimated to be about a $2.2 million project. We'll see if we get funding. It looks like the state has decided to not announce award of funding until about January, so they're clearly waiting to see what happens with Prop 6 before they start handing out some of these funds. And one of the projects that did get funding through the augmentation, they did a quick round of funding in 2017, and we were able to help the city secure about $815,000 for some pedestrian safety improvements at Red Church and Washington Street. And we're also helping the city go after some pedestrian improvements on Washington Street itself. I think if anybody pays attention to the local news, we know that there have been a number of pedestrian vehicle accidents in the last few years. Hopefully this project will reduce the risk out there to everybody. It's about that Washington Street project's a little over $1 million project. Again, we won't know if we get funding until about January or so, contingent on SB1's maintaining the funding sources. So that's kind of the overview of where we're at and where we think we're going and with SB1, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Just comments. Great presentation, good information. Thank you very much. It's so obvious how important it is that we need this money. It's frustrating. It's frustrating that it's taken this long, and it's frustrating just the circumstances of the whole thing and the context within the state budget and everything else. But for anybody that's listening, the people that work on our behalf locally do an outstanding job. I know you guys are wonderful advocates. You're experts. You understand the nuances of the funding and all the technical things, and it's appreciated. So thank you for the report.
My third time, I think, seeing this, but it's very good. I think it's important to note that we're positioning ourselves pretty well to get some funding if this passes, and I'm hoping it will. And I know that we need the money, and with this, we can really make a difference compared to what we've done in the past. So, thank the CRA staff and TCTC for getting all this together. Because without you guys out there beating the walks, we're not going to get it done. I know the Groveland walkway. How many years have we been working on this? 4. The Old Priest Grade intersection, Duke, I don't know, 20 years. But when you start seeing it on paper and you start thinking that there's going to be some money available, it really makes me excited as I can get on paving roads. So, Supervisor Hamel.
So, Kim, how much are we going to get a year out of this thing when it settles down, assuming it stays in place?
I think projected for next year is $2.2 million, and then we are hoping to get $4 million annually.
So 2.2 through next year, and then we hope to get $4 million.
Mm-hmm.
As I recall, a presentation we had, was it last year? Last year that says we need considerably more than that to get our roads up and maintain them properly.
Yes.
I don't want to oversell this as being the panacea. It is a huge help, but isn't going to get us where we need to be.
There will still be a shortfall. That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Any other questions? Any public comment? All right. Thank you. And I think we're going to go back to our 9 o'clock appointment. I think we're getting close.
Cal, read it. This is continued public hearing to consider the fiscal year 2018-19 budget with personnel recommendations, information technology, and capital project list, and the appropriation limit computation method and resulting limits, and adopting the resolution.
Say good morning again. I'm back. We are back. Actually, that one's from Human Resources. That one's pretty good. Okay, so Tracy Riggs and Debbie Batista, with the changes that your board had requested that we make during the lunch break.
As just a quick overview, we did change the, you had a worksheet from Mr. Pedro that showed that we were making a series of about 5 different changes to a couple of cost centers for a total of $37,000. Those changes were made in the budget system, and the position was added, the legal assistant was added to the county council's cost center. So you have a couple items in front of you. The first one, the one that Supervisor Roderford just referred to, the spreadsheet, that is our allocated positions by department. There's a highlight in there, and what you will see is that's where it shows the county council's position, legal assistant, has been added. So at the very bottom, the net impact from last year's adopted to this year's adopted is an increase of a 0.3 FTE. And then you have an updated resolution in front of you as well, and it, Deb and I went through all of these. They balance. Deb did, there is an updated GAN limit, and I don't know if there's anything you wanted to speak to that. And we have all of the new reports and schedules balanced as well.
The GAN limit only changed by 0.01, but I still need you to choose alternative number 2 to give us the largest GAN limit that we can have, which would be the $154,411,780. So when we do all of the steps that you guys do for passing the budget, remember you want alternative number 2.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wish to speak?
Good afternoon. Just to be clear, so I'm able to speak about the general plan, the budget at this point?
Right, 2 minutes.
All right, I don't need that long. Good afternoon, supervisors. In May, I received an email and press release that was sent to me. The county had communicated that the Roads Division conducts a roadside herbicide spray program to mitigate roadside vegetation along county-maintained roads when funding is available. And it was noted that the Community Resource Agency Roads Division currently had funding for a roadside weed control program contained in the preliminary fiscal year 2018-2019 budget. So my question is just this. Has that survived the budget process, and is there funding for the roadside vegetation program for 2019-2020 fiscal year?
So Mr. Pedro is looking through the budget.
Thank you. That will be my only question.
All right. Thank you.
All right. I'll take my seat. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm hearing from Kim that she does believe it's still in there. But I don't know personally. We could follow up with the staff afterwards and then with the gentleman just to clarify.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to, are you still looking, or do you want to just wait?
I think we should make sure and get the correct answer back to Mr. Fischler.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to, any public comment anymore? This public hearing, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the board. See no one, close the public hearing. So who's going to take it from here?
So I think the action that you would take would be to adopt, a motion would be to adopt all of the budget actions contained in the 2018-19 budget document as modified per board direction, and that includes items 1 through 4 in your memo with the updated resolution, option 2 for the GAN, alternative 2 for the GAN limit, and the updated personnel chart.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
All right. Motion by Supervisor Roderford. Question.
That still leaves us the option to come back in January after we get this all cleared out and look at those.
We always have that option.
I understand. I just want to make sure that that's on the record. We have that, and I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Roderford, second by Supervisor Hanvelt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Long budget year. Thank you very much for all the hard work, staff, and everybody that work there?
They can have a late lunch.
Late lunch? Did you get a chance to have lunch? Okay, with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Hey, Craig?
Sweet.